A Final Fantasy for fans and first-timers. This is the first thing you see when you load up Final Fantasy 15. I fall into the first-timers category. I am no stranger to RPGs and other Square franchises like Kingdom Hearts, but have never played a Final Fantasy before. I have seen bits and pieces of past entries in the franchise, but have never sat down and played one. I understand some of the tenets such as turn-based combat, complex stories, and fantastical worlds and characters, but for the most part don't really understand what the essence of a Final Fantasy game is. So, how good is Final Fantasy 15 for somebody who has never played one in the series before? Well, I think that depends on a few things, but I'll try to answer that question as best I can. Although I personally have never played a Final Fantasy game before, it's hard to ignore the series' influence on the RPG genre and in general video games today. These games are legendary, stretching back to the NES era and releasing numerous installments on various consoles up to today. That's a long time for one series to be around, and only a handful can say the same. More recently, there have been a lot of other great RPGs that have come out, such as The Elder Scrolls, Mass Effect, and the Witcher series. These are some pretty big shoes to fill. Final Fantasy 15 has definitely been influenced by the success of these games, featuring an open world where you can go anywhere and do whatever you want, less focus on stat crunching, and more focus on action and reward systems. How does Final Fantasy compare to modern day games such as these? Well, since most RPGs are so complex, featuring many more gameplay systems and features than average games, it's hard to decide what's actually good or not. What one gamer likes about Final Fantasy 15, another one might hate. RPG purists probably don't like that this game isn't as focused on stat crunching and complex leveling and progression systems to decipher, although they still are present to some degree. Another gamer might want to jump in and explore the world and find those systems just get in the way. It's hard to please everyone, especially with a franchise as old as this one. Everyone expects something different. There are certain things that are almost always part of a great RPG though, such as building a fantastical world and story, and a real-time customizable combat system, for example. There is one word that I would use to describe Final Fantasy 15. Messy. That's not to say that it is necessarily bad though. You can tell that this is a game that lost its way at some point during its extremely long development period. There is potential in so many different aspects of Final Fantasy 15, but none of them ever amount to their full potential. You can see the elements of the game that they wanted to make haphazardly woven together into a giant mess that has some good parts hidden within, underneath a blanket of an unfinished and unrefined game. One such element is the game's world building and story. The main story of the game is impossible to follow and doesn't make much sense. Basically, you're trying to reclaim your city from the clutches of the Empire by going around to the ancient tombs of your ancestors and gaining the power that is hidden away. Outside of that, there is little to no exposition on why the Empire is even attacking in the first place, or how you can teleport around in combat or cause ephemeral swords to rise up and stab you in the chest. Tooltips during the loading screens reference things that didn't even happen in the cutscene you just watched. The story doesn't really gain any traction until you're already far into the game, and the pieces it puts into place are not built up properly. You never really know what you were doing or why you were doing it, and it makes it hard to care about the story Final Fantasy 15 is trying to tell. The setting of Final Fantasy 15 is actually one of my favorite parts of the game. The modern-day aesthetic, reminiscent of American Midwest car garages and decorations, juxtaposed by high fantasy monsters and magic, is very unique and cool. Sadly, the activities and characters that populate this world never bring it to life. This is an unfamiliar world, and any questions about the world the player might have is never alluded to, just like the main story. It's okay to leave some things unexplained, but the way the game explains so little about important story elements like the Empire, the main city Insomnia, or the people of royalty and their ability to do magical things in the world doesn't do it justice. The main character Noctis is one of the most uninteresting and boring protagonists I've ever played as in a video game. He has no personality, he never responds to a question with anything interesting to say, never explains how he feels about a certain situation or event, never says anything to give you any insight to his motivations, his struggles, or his feelings. He is intentionally written to be aloof, a person who doesn't really care about the world around him, the mantle he's destined to take up, or really anything besides his fiancée Luna, and even that relationship is never explored outside a few vague flashbacks to when they were kids. The way Noctis is portrayed just doesn't work to make him a memorable hero in any way. The band of brothers that surround him throughout your time playing are equally as flat. Prompto, Ignis, and Gladiolus are each just as forgettable. Their interactions between them and dialogue never do anything to reveal anything meaningful towards their relationships with each other. There are many scenes such as them in the car or when they're at camp where it shows them talking to each other, but no dialogue is actually heard. These would have been welcome times to hear more banter back and forth. It would have given them more life. Hell, the first time any one of them even explained anything about how they knew each other wasn't until a cutscene in which Noctis and Prompto talk about their meeting in high school 10 hours into the game. It's hard to cut Final Fantasy XV any slack in this regard, especially after I've played such storytelling masterpieces like The Witcher 3 that weaves side quests in and out of the main storyline, has excellent and memorable characters, and a very well realized and detailed world. Another thing that The Witcher 3 has is great gameplay, something that is extremely hit or miss in Final Fantasy XV. When the combat works the way it's supposed to, it feels great to control. It feels great to zip around through the air, stringing together hit chains with your swords and then finishing out the sequence with a shot from Prompto or a giant sword tornado from Gladiolus. There are plenty of customization options including different weapon types, and an ascension system that slowly doles out more powerful upgrades in combat for you to explore using. It's just too bad that the combat doesn't work a whole lot more than what it does. Having Noctis control exactly how you want is extremely rare, and too often you'll miss warp strikes for no reason, be subject to extremely bad camera placement, and fight through uninteresting enemies that take no strategy to overcome. Although there are multiple weapon types to choose from, some of them are just plain terrible to use, such as firearms and machines. The main boss fights in the game are laughably bad, ones that quickly devolve into quick-time event affairs. Side quests within the game are just generic fetch quests with absolutely no interesting properties about them. Despite all of its problems, I found myself continuing on playing Final Fantasy XV. Something about the shiny coat of paint only a AAA title can provide tricks you into thinking the game is better than it actually is. This is the classic story of judging a book by its cover. If it looks good, it probably is good, right? That's not the case here. As you dive deeper into Final Fantasy XV, you start to get lost in its mess, and wonder why you keep moving forward. Final Fantasy XV just doesn't stand up to the excellent modern-day RPGs we've been getting, games that its overall design is similar to. There are some good moments hidden within if you're willing to put in some time, but the effort expended to find them far outweighs the reward.